And one of my favorite things about the devil card is I always say to my students and my clients is just look at the word devil. If you turn it around, it's lived. It's a
Oh,
lived experience. It's a lived experience. It's energy in reverse. How can we get that energy going the way it should be going? And the devil shows us. He's like, up here. It's this way. It's this way.
yes.
Get out.
That's
Go out there and do what you should be doing. Stop sitting here with me. And then the thing is he's happy for you to sit there with him because that is his nature. That is his essence. But he's not
mm,
asking you to. He's not forcing you to. You
yeah,
know,
that's
it's our
you know,
decision to be better in ourselves. And it's a difficult one.
that's nuts.
But yeah,
It
I agree with you.
Yeah, the decision to change and be better is you're literally facing your own devil and demons, right? And the Rider-Waite Smith artwork for the devil is awesome because it shows the lovers chained up to the devil's chair, but those chains are loose, like they can literally just pop them
Yeah.
off at any stage. You're not stuck to your fears or your phobias. You're not stuck with your shadow. It's the bonds that we put on ourselves. We choose
Yeah.
to keep those chains there, and that's, I think, one
100%.
of the biggest messages of the devil is like you choose to be there and you choose not to be there. You have free will. So the big scary card's teaching you something really big and profound. Um,
Mm. I think another scary one is the death card because everyone thinks
yeah.
that it's we're going to die or it's predicting some sort of death or it's also a demon like
Mm,
card. And one of my favorite things about the way that A.E. Waite and Pamela Coleman Smith designed that card is how they dressed him up in the regalia of the armor and made him
yeah.
more sort of respectable, if you like, because in the
Mm,
older decks he was literally a scary looking skeleton with a scythe and it was much more fear invoking. So
yeah.
Waite sort of was suggesting with that we should be treating the death experience with more reverence and more respect and more wisdom, and that
Mm,
whereas in the Western culture we're so afraid of death that we don't actually give it its due, and most of the
yeah.
time we're not ready for any kind of process that involves death. So
Mm,
that's literal. But for us in the tarot, we see death as transformative, as a rebirthing, as shifting through a difficult process. Obviously, it can represent the grief of actual endings and letting go. But I just really loved how they changed that skeleton into something to of respect rather than something to be feared.
that's it exactly. And there's I mean, also in the artwork, the way that they've drawn the imagery is that you can't escape death. Like change will always happen. Change is inevitable in life. And we can't escape that. And as much as we try and we're like, oh, I'm gonna avoid this and just hide in my house, death is gonna come knock at your door and be like, bitch,
I want a
let
cup of
me make
tea.
some changes. I have arrived. I've arrived to change your life and cause some upheavals. And it's a big misconception with the death card. I mean, the amount of times that I've put the death card down on the table in front of a client and I can see their eyes, they're like, oh, someone's gonna die. And I'm like, no, it just means you're letting go of something. It's the death of an aspect of yourself or the experience that you're going through possibly coming to an end. Like it's a card of letting go. And like we need to learn to let go. If we wander around in the same place and space for our entire lifetime, that would just be awful stagnance. That sounds horrible. That sounds like a more miserable way to live your life.
Yeah.
So death is something to be respected. It is like I said earlier, death, taxes, and tower cards. It's those are the only inevitable things we have in life. But in the Western world, there's just this huge disconnect from death is this devastation and it's destruction, and we try and avoid it at all costs. And then you have other cultures that they honor death. You
Yeah.
have within Mexican culture, you have Santa Muerte, where they honor the saint of death. They have festivals in Bali. They have festivals around death. It's amazing what the other cultures do to embrace a natural aspect of being a human. That we're
Yeah,
gonna
and
go through
it's
deaths and transitions. Yeah, I
part
mean
of our
nature.
spiritual process. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's a
mean nature
step
does
of
that.
existence, not an ending of existence, I think.
That's it. Yeah, it's expanding out on coming from here and expanding out into something else, and you can't expand if you're this is everything that's here, and I've got to hold on to that. You'd miss out on so much in life. The trees lose their leaves once a year. The trees die off and they come back to life. It's natural rhythm. You can't fight your natural state. That's just banging your head against a wall, and that's going to give you a headache. That doesn't sound like
Yes,
fun.
exactly. Spiritual headache too.
Yeah, spiritual
So
migraine.